where you are on this New Year's Day, the very first day of January in the year of our Most High Elohim 2021, with the time now standing at precisely 7 minutes past 7 p.m. in the blessed land of Biafra. I welcome each and every one of you to this very special broadcast, coming to you live and direct to the entirety of humanity on the surface of this very planet. Happy New Year to all of you. According to the Gregorian European calendar, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the largest mass movement on the face of this very planet, the indigenous people of Biafra. I am the director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. And by the very special grace of the Most High Elohim, a servant of the wonderful people of Biafra. This evening, it is rather very unfortunate that we are unable to come to you live on my Facebook page. Those of them that run Facebook, not only in the damnable zoological republic, but also out of California, they have decided or determined, I should say, that I shouldn't broadcast live on Facebook. I have done everything humanly possible. We have done everything humanly possible to make sure we come live on Facebook. They have refused. They have flatly refused. The zoo have stuffed them with money as always. And those of them working for Facebook in Lagos and in Abuja have sided with the Janjaweed Fulani Caliphate to try to deny us space to propagate the gospel of the restoration of the kingdom of heaven upon the face of this very earth. This address this evening is designed to touch upon everything we have accomplished over the years and what we intend to accomplish as we move forward. Not minding that I'm not on Facebook, I will allow, or should I say advise our people to allow those who are waiting for me to come live on Facebook to please access this very broadcast via IPOB Community Radio app, also Radio Biafra app, our FM relay stations in the blessed land of Biafra. We are also on satellite television. There you can be able to follow this very program this morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. Before we go any further, it is customary with us, we must hand over our proceedings to the Most High, to come and take charge, not just of this very broadcast this very evening, but also these very efforts to liberate his own children this year going forward. They have decided not to allow us to broadcast on social media. That notwithstanding, I do understand that we are on YouTube as well. Some of you may be able to follow us on that very platform if you wish to do so. Let us pray, and we are going to pray as it is customary here in the language of heaven. Onye ọ bụ naanị ya ka mbara igwe na-egosi ọlụ aka ya mere eji wee na-etugusu niile nke ndị agha onweghị onye dịka gị eze ndị nsọ. Ọ bụ na aka gị ka anyị dabere, onye nwe m. N'ime gị ka anyị gbabara ezi ebube dị ngọzi wee na-eze atụmatụ ọjọọ niile nke ndị iro. Anyị wee were ụmụ gị n'ụwa niile bụ ndị IPOB bụ abụrụ ituru ugo, onye nwe m, wee na-ebute n'iru nsọ gị. Kiwe gozi umugi n'otu. Ọlụ aka ha niile ezinụlọ ha niile ọpụpụ ha na mbata ha onye gwa m na Chineke nna nke pụrụ ihe niile arịdọ ka anyị na-arịọ gị mkpọbụ ka anyị na-akpọku aha nsọ gị ka ọ ga-abụ n'ikpete maazụ ka ndị iro hapụ ichi anya otu onye nwe m n'ihi na ọ bụ sọsọ aha nsọ gị ka anyị ji wee na-anya isi anya nwere onye ọzọ mba niile dị iche iche wee gbakọta anya azụ wee na-eme ka ha wee megide ndị gị onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe ka ha si wee kunie na ha ga-esi wee megide obodo nsọ gị bụ Israel iwe si na mba n'okwu gị ga-abịarịrị na mmezu n'ụbọchị nke dị Israel wee guzosi ike otu a ka anyị si wee na-arịọ gị n'otu aka ahụ anyị onwe anyị bụ ụmụ gị bụ ndị Biafra gbasasị aka ụkpaka n'ụwa niile ka anyị na-eche n'iru gị nna nke ebere dị ngọzi n'ihi na ikwuru anyị na nkwa sị na mgbe ọ bụla anyị kụduru wee kpọkuo aha nsọ ga asụghị ngọngọ atụghị egwu mmadụ ọbụla ụbọchị ọbụla anyị kụgburu wee jụọ arụsị n'ụbọchị nke ahụ na ị ga-akwụsị anyị n'ụzọ pụrụ iche iwe gọzie ndị gị onye nwe m n'ụbọchị nke taa sọsọ eji ama ka anyị na-ajaga onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe n'ihi na ọ bụ na-anaghị bụ ndị pụrụ ime mila ndị iro n'ihu anyị etu a onye nwe m na Chineke nna ka aka nsị ndị iro bara ha ọnụ obodo ekwensu busu aka nsị ha wee baa ha ọnụ ndị terọrist na ndị bandit wechara ha wee n'ala ha n'iyi dịka isi wekwa anyị na nkwa na oge ahụ ruo na ị ga-ememela ndị niile bụ ndị mere ka ụmụ gị wee gbaa anya mmiri onye nwe anyị na Chineke nna nke bi n'igwe anyị wee were ụmụ gị ndị a niile n'otu onwe onye ọbụla nke anyị na-ahapụ wee nyefee gị n'aka anyị wee na-echeta ndị nọ n'ụlọ nga wee na-echeta ndị nọ n'ụlọ iko n'onweghị ihe ọbụla ha mere ndị niile bụ ndị nwe ike kpọtara ndị nrụ nwe ekwensu ka ha wee gwagbuo onye nwe anyị na Chineke na ị ga-abụrụ anyị ọbụ ebe nwe ike nọ na ndị otu ya ị ga-abụrụ anyị ọbụ n'ihi na ịbụ Chineke nna ị ga-abụrụ anyị ọbụ ebe nwe ike na onye nwe m n'otu aka anyị isi ụmahị na ndị ọjọọ niile bụ ndị kpọtara ndị Fulani Janjaweed n'ala nsọ gị onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe ndị dị etu a bụ ndị ga-ekpochapụ n'otu ị gaghị emere ha ebere anyị na-agba akwụkwọ n'isi ha nna nke igwe n'otu ahụ onwe ha si wee mụta ụmụaka n'ihi na nwa ike mụtara nwoke mụta nwaanyị otu aka akụ nwa ha si wee mụta nwoke mụta nwaanyị ikpeazụ wee mụta nwoke wee mụta nwaanyị nwoke wee mụta nwoke wee mụta nwaanyị nna nke ebere dị ngọzi ka ha si wee mechie ezinụlọ ndị ọzọ onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke bụ n'igwe sikọta ha mechie ezinụlọ ndị dị etu a n'ihi na onweghị ihe ọbụla siri anyị na ha na-akụ nna nke ebere oge osisi anyị gaa ka anyị na-aga onwe onye ọbụla napụrụ ihe ya n'ike anyị anaghị ezu ozi anyị anaghị agba ama nna nke dị nsọ ị ga-eku n'iwe lụọrọ ndị gị ọgụ onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe obodo ekwesị bụ usu ka ị ga-ala n'iyi dịka ekwesịkwa anyị na nkwa anyị wee na-arịọ gị na-asị ezi ebube dị ngọzi ọ bụ gị onwe gị bụ onye hiwere Eastern Security Network ọ bụghị mmadụ dị ndụ n'ihi na ọ bụ izi anyị ozi anyị wee sie ndị dị ndụ iwe si n'oge ahụ erure mgbe nnụnụ ọbụla ji alaghachi na-akwụ onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe na a ga-enwe ndị nchegecha ala nsọ gị iwe si etu o wee mechara ha wee guzosi ike ezi ebube dị ngọzi ihe a ga-eri agaghị atọ ha onye nwe m na Chineke nna ị ga-ekpuchigide ha ị ga-enye ndị mmụọ ozi gị iwu ebe ụmụ ndị dị etu ahụ bụ ndị nche bụ ndị volunteer anyị wee guzosi ike n'isi ụmụ gị ndị a niile bụ ndị na-eche ala nsọ gị bụ Biafra onye nwe m na Chineke nna nke igwe wee na-asị na ndị mmụọ ozi gị ga-agba ha okirikiri wee chebe ụtụtụ ihe abalị onweghị atụmatụ ọjọọ ọbụla nke ndị iro ga-emetụta ha n'ahụ nna nke igwe n'ihi na mmeri bụ nke anyị ị ga-arọpụtara anyị ngwa agha ezi ebube ị ga-arọpụtara anyị ngwa agha onye nwe m na ndị Fulani Janjaweed pụta ala nsọ gị anyị sụọ ha akwụ nna nke ebe anyị ọbara ha wee tọjụọ ala n'ihi na abụghị ekwensu ọ ga-abụ na ekpete masị na Biafra ga-eguzorịrị o nweghị ihe ọbụla mmadụ dị ndụ pụrụ ime ebe Biafra ga-eguzo n'ihi na ihe ọbụla idere n'idewu ya anyị ga-aja gị mma wee too gị gọzie aha nsọ gị ma bulie gị elu site na ebighị ma ọ na-ebighị ka anyị na-agụ ise once again I welcome each and every one of you this evening, morning, afternoon, or depending on where you are. We are not able to broadcast live on Facebook because Facebook proceeded to tell me, or in fact, they actually said to me that I will not be able to broadcast on my Facebook page. That is the reason. Because those who rose up against him were also black people who were suffering, and they are still suffering till this very day. Ojukwu was also fighting Igbo Efulefus everywhere. That was exactly what happened And this fight we are facing now is no different. That is why our we are done with Nigeria. The name Nigeria will no longer exist. That is where we are heading to. And for us to be able to accomplish that, we need to recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia in the northern part of the damnable zoological republic. And there is only one way we are going to achieve that. Yes, sir.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, depending on your time and your location. I greet you all. I join my voice on the voice of my president, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to welcome you all to this wonderful program this evening. Today is the final summary of our 3 days history of the scenario that he wants us to recreate. That this is how Biafra, this is only one way Biafra will come. We are here just to summarize the 3 countries with their history, because previous 3 days we have been dealing with Syria, we are dealing with Somalia, Yemen. Today we want to summarize it all. That is why our capture, our headline has changed. What Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said we should do for Biafra to become a nation is what PM Simon EKPA NJOKU did through Dr. Ngozi Orapeze, the DPM. If you follow the programs of all these days, you know that we are here to create the history. And that history has been created. The history of Syria is that when their land was being occupied by oppressor or those that feel like they are in charge of their country, they flew into exile to Istanbul, Turkey, and they formed Government-in-Exile and issue redeclared of the Syria as a country back. After the one of the 1949, the transition into France failed. They traveled down to Qatar, where they finally redeclared their lost country. Somalia, on their own case, traveled all the way to Kenya and Ethiopia and redeclared their country that was being taken over by those like Gentle and Butus or inside bush. They call them warlords that take over their countries. Because of them, for their life, and for them to prove a civilian government power, the Somalia transitioned into Government-in-Exile. I repeat again, go to the Wikipedia, type, what is the movement of Somalia to regain their country back from the hands of warlords? I said, go to Wikipedia, type. What I'm giving today is, you had it from the voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, not from my own voice. That he said that for us to have Biafra as a country, we must recreate the history of Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. These 3 countries, we are going to torchlight their history this evening once again. And you can now find out why I said on my headline that Simon, the Prime Minister, Simon EKPA NJOKU, has recreated that history in our time by what? 1, forming the Government-in-Exile. 2, by being arrested and asked the surrogates to protect the mandate, and the surrogates issue a redeclared of the lost country called Republic of Biafra in the continuity of the present United States of Biafra was redeclared November the 29th, 2024. Are you there? This is what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, that this is what we have to do for Biafra to become a nation. Are you standing in the recreation of Biafra to become a nation? If you stand on that and you understand this voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which I'm going to be repeating and playing it, why playing the history of these countries, there is a reason why we are there today. And you see how the prophecy and all he has pronounced has come to fulfill. These broadcasts were the broadcasts of January 1st, 2021, before he was being kidnapped in June 2021. Before he kidnapped, he laid down, he told us what we have to do for us to achieve Biafra as a nation. And he said what? Without wasting time, I'm not going to say what he said. It's good better from his mouth. So I am going to allow you to roll. Give me 1 minute. What we have to do for Biafra to become a country. Give me 1 second. I'm going to change the speaker to put on a bigger speaker so we can follow suit direct and you can hear it from the voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Then you ask yourself, who has recreated the scenario, the history? I always use the word repeating a history. Biafra will not come with what we think and how we feel. Biafra can never come with IPOB organization. And the Mazi can understand it clearly. And now to believe that there was a secret meeting between Mazi and Simon when he said, Oba told Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, if there is nothing in the table, I will bring something on this table. And there is nothing in the table for 14 years of my project IPOB. Thunder Babuko on Chanile in as IPOB. Amadio Hamabu Shaka on IPOB organization. If you still believe in that, on Wakam na Wini. Thunder or Brani lack of Biafra the news Sona School Kapiam. All the in the IPOB organization neke, all the news soon no, all the news soon on now for, all the news soon on now. He said, because this name has brought waste of life. This name keep one of my friends today in prison under protest. Under the name of protest of IPOB. Who claim human rights today after commanding us in Mpo massacre. 50 men was down in Mpo. 50 good men. That time, I have 3 fellow workers that we went from the site to protest. 2 lost their life. This lost their life. Emeka was on my right hand. Ifeanyi was on my left hand. The way we stand. And the Chigozie was on the left hand of Ifeanyi. The bullet entered in the midst of us. It grabs 2 of them, they fall. They did not make it alive. Till today, Chigozie is still in prison. Till today. Under the name IPOB organization. I have told you, I also lost my brother. Through the useless Biafran child, the way when book with the order of Chike. My brother still went in prison, still remained in maturity today. I never buried him. And you think I'm here for fun. You think I'm here for position. You think I'm just open this YouTube to talk. We are very bitter. We forgot until Alberto bring it back to us that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said what? That Biafra should come through one way. That the only way Biafra will come is what I'm going to play. Now listen to this from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
The method in our madness. We are very, very strategic in terms of our approach not just to the disintegration of the damnable zoological republic, but its disembowelment. I did promise you many years ago that by the time we are done with Nigeria, the name Nigeria will no longer exist. That is where we are headed. And for us to be able to accomplish that, we need to recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia, in the northern part of the damnable zoological republic.
IPOB organization. As I said, once Biafra achieve recognition, we are going to abolish the name IPOB. I don't believe in that IPOB. That's IPOB indigenous people. What is that? Which country is answering indigenous people? That's close camouflage. When America used 13 colony to achieve the recognition, because of what they passed through in the hands of British, America abolished 13 colony. Everybody knows that we're indigenous people. We must pronounce that we're indigenous people for the people we know. Do we need that? Do we need this? This name causes us pain. This name causes us sorrow. This name causes us drama. This name causes us emotion. Everything in the name of IPOB, the only terrorist organization, political pressure group. And we are answering it. One of our brothers told me that from Australia. That's one guy come out where they're eating in the restaurant and he said that he was shouting that Simon Harper has killed people. Tell me, my people in the comment section. Tell me one person who died in the name of Simon Harper. Can you? Tell me one massacre happened in the name of Simon Harper. More massacre in the name of IP organization. Iguacha massacre. IPP organization. Is it not true? Do you know about massacre happening in Oba when we're in the protest in Oba? In the name of IPOB. Do you know about the massacre of Biafra in Ekusigo when we're in protest? Ekusigo, do you know? Do you know the killing happening in Akwa Ibom when we went to protest in Akwa Ibom with Tanzania and the Kano? Those that was arrested, they never come back to today. Those that was arrested, I have count 5. What of Mobile massacre? 6 of this very powerful massacre. In the name of IPOB. What of Ojiriba massacre by under Masob? Pronounce one name of massacre happened in the name of Simon Harper. Give me one. Witch and wizard. But oh no, because what you don't know is bigger than all of you. IPOB, where is this scenario? Mazen Nandi cannot say we should create. And the scenario is what? I'm not going to say too much words. Before that, I'm not going to comment section and greet those that are commenting because today, some things come into my mind today, seriously. When I listen, so I've been doing these programs all this while, but today, honestly, the program enters because I see wasted time, wasted years. Wasted time, wasted years, wasted effort. They want to waste the effort of Master and the Kano. But we must thank Chukwu Okabiama and the honor Simon NJOKU and the Ngozi Arabeze. Because not for that, all the more than 14 years of Mazin Nnamdi Okwu could have been wasted years. That is what they planned. But Chukwu Okabiama bring a man who said, if there is nothing on the table, I will bring something on the table. Today, Biafra is in the table of over 157 countries. So far, so good. Which I have found out. The Biafra document is on these tables. Today, Brazil is talking about Biafra. Israel has gathered morale to talk about Biafra. You think it's because of your protest? Anything in protest is noise making. Anything in protest is what? Noise making. I greet you, Shibo Zede. Good evening from here. Thank you for standing on our protocol. I am a citizen of United States of Biafra Nation, USB. That is who I am. That is where I'm from. That is my nation. That is my country. And he also continues saying, thank you for being obedient citizen and obey our DPM. Hashtag Nigeria must go out of Biafra land. Thank you so much. We have a wonderful visitor today, Tina wife, for a very long time. Good evening from here. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on our page today. For those on the group who is asking about our sister Tina, please look at it. One other organ who asked about Tina and all of you, she's here on the comments. She's alive and she's good. Matter of, time, maybe tight schedule. Tight schedule is what is holding her, but she's here. You can see her on the comment section. So thank you so much, Tina. I greet you. Thank you so much. Thank you. He said, blessings, greetings, dear friends. Good evening from my end. No, thank you, Jelenwai. Thank you so much. Ndewo umu Chineke. Ndewo munnem. Thank you. In USB, we must stand. Gidigbam, gidigbam. Anya abiago now. I know na country. I know organization. I need people country. We must support our new nation. It's under must. We move. Thank you so much. Ngozi is here. I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. Thank you. They, Shino, and all the true Biafrans under University of Biafra. You are the true one. Absolutely nothing on the IPOB table except awareness. That is what they know how to do. That is all they can do. He said to my prayer, thank you so much. And Nigeria is at that point now to destroy. Yes, so IPOB is an organization, not a nation. Thank you, Jela. That is a very wonderful, powerful statement you make over there. Excellent. Thank you. IPOB, protest, we move. Yes, so National High School, the IPOB. Yes, National High School, yes. Enugu State, also. Massacre. Benken, hashtag, I am a citizen of United States of Biafra. Nigeria must go out of Biafra land, out of Biafra nation. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nello 5, Mike. Thank you. I see you all. Thank you so much. Nigeria free Mazinande Kano. Thank you so much. And in the blood of those who died for IPOB would have been in vain. Yes, would have been in vain if not the 29th declaration. Thank you, Jelenwa. You are right. Once your message, every good word is there. Finland, free Maz Simon by PM. He said, my heart is always standing with my people of US citizens. Thank you. So you heard it from her. So please, you can also see her comments here for those who are asking. You can also see the comments here. So she's here with us. That's why whatever we eat, whatever we are, the true citizen of USB, anywhere we are, our heart is with our people in our nation. That is the truth of the matter. So we move. Now, I want to do one thing again. What am I going to do now? I will play the voice of Mazin and the can, then now go into that, because today's program, I want to do quickly and open the mic, so I don't want to waste too much time. Just I have a lot of my time here. I might have just maximum 2 hours to be here or 1 hour. They will close the program. So let us see the voice of Mazin and the can before we move into the history. I want this to be reminding you what we are here to do today without wasting time. So let us listen to it again.
The method in our madness. We are very, very strategic in terms of our approach, not just to the disintegration of the damnable zoological.
That is at the point where Nigeria is now.
Disembowelment. I did promise you many years ago that by the time we are done with Nigeria, the name Nigeria will no longer exist. That is where we are heading. And for us to be able to accomplish that, we need to recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia, in the northern part of the damnable zoological republic. And there is only one way we are going to achieve that.
The only one way. He picked 3 countries. In these 3 countries, 2 have government in exile. Syria, Somalia have government in exile, and that is the only way they become a country. 2 of them lost their country, but through this, they become a country. Today, you know about Somalia, you know about Syria, Yemen never have government in exile. But there's one thing about Yemen. What will happen in the north when Biafra finally, when we get recognition, is what will happen in the north. What happened in Yemen? Once Biafra move out from, once now we have moved, as we are waiting for recognition, once we achieve the recognition, what's happened to Yemen will happen in the north. The north will divide. The Christians in the north will have their own country. That is what happened about Yemen. So the people of Benua, that we would think that we should remain and discuss of force, that is what never wipe you away. No is the answer. What we are doing is that we will move, our move will set you free. That is why we are giving all of you in Africa freedom. Biafra is the light of all Africa. Africa will remain in darkness until we march. Now, until we achieve recognition. That is why it's very good that countries in Africa to quickly, now that we have met all the criteria, and give you what you deserve, which is what? The criteria of the Montevideo Convention. We have given you that. Now that we have given you the criteria, now we have given you what you call external remedial section through our peacefully declared of the lost country, Republic of Biafra, in the continuation of the United States of Biafra. We have given you the power. We have given you the legal power. We have given you the diplomatic power. We have given you everything you needed for us to organize us. That is only when Africa will see light. People like Ibrahim Traoré should do fast to stop the kidnapping, the beheading of the people in that zoological Republic of Animal Kingdom. A country where animal is better than. Country where the human beings are idiotic people. Oluchimagod, I see you. Thank you so much. Gene Kawaf, I see you. Thank you. Ekwem, just my man. I greet you from here. Thank you to you all as we move. Now, let's go to the history of these three countries that Mazakan mentioned here so far. Let's see. Let's go. No time. Just allow me to change. Okay. Now, we will start from Syria. I will play it without saying a word, then we'll do analysis on it. Like I said, we might open the mic earlier because of my time. I have something to do with my time this night again.
Looking at these three specific cases reveals a fascinating picture of how statehood, diplomatic recognition, and sovereignty play out in the real world. Each country offers a very different lesson on how governments operate when they don't have full physical control, or how two separate systems...
Remember that word, when they don't have what? Physical control of their territory. This history that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, we must repeat the history, the scenario of the Yemen, Syria, and the Somalia, when none of them have control over their physical territory. Because Mazi can understand that the Biafran people, we do not have physical control over our own territory. Let's continue.
Emerge into one sovereign nation. Let's break down the histories of each, focusing on exactly how their administrative structures and declarations shape their paths. 1. Syria. The interim government in exile, 2013 to 2025. During the Syrian civil war, opposition forces realized that to gain international legitimacy and challenge the Assad regime diplomatically, they needed a formal, structured administrative body, the Foundation, 2012-2013. In November 2012, opposition groups formed an umbrella political coalition in Doha, Qatar. Realizing they needed a practical executive branch to provide services, they formally declared the Syrian Interim Government, SIG, in March 2013 during a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. The strategy of statehood, the SIG, did not just release statements, it built a technical cabinet with ministries, defense, health, education. They focused heavily on proving they could perform the functions of a state. They issued official civil documents, like birth certificates and academic diplomas, to millions of displaced Syrians, which were recognized by neighboring countries like Turkey. The transition inward. For the first few years, the SIG operated strictly in exile from Turkey because it lacked a safe physical base. However, starting in 2016, it progressively moved its headquarters into territories in northern Syria. By establishing local councils, it attempted to demonstrate effective control over specific regions, backed by administrative presence rather than just military force. The outcome: the SIG served as the primary diplomatic pipeline for Western and regional funding, including millions in direct administrative aid from the US and Europe, until the dramatic collapse of the Assad regime in Damascus. 2. Somalia. Building authority from outside, 2000 to 2004. Following the collapse of the Central Somali state in 1991, the country descended into a decade of decentralized clan warfare with no recognized government. The path back to international recognition relied heavily on creating provisional administrations on foreign soil. The Arta Conference, 2000. In 2000, neighboring Djibouti hosted the Somalia National Peace Conference in the town of Arta. Clan elders, civil society leaders, and diplomats gathered to sign a transitional national charter, creating the Transitional National Government, TNG. Operating in a vacuum, the TNG was immediately granted Somalia's seat at the United Nations, the African Union, and the Arab League. On paper, it had total diplomatic recognition as a sovereign state. In reality, it was a government in exile working out of hotels, as powerful warlords and regional factions controlled the actual capital of Mogadishu. Administrative strengths and flaws. The TNG established all the formal organs of statehood, a parliament divided by clan ratios, executive ministries, and even a nascent national police force. However, because it could not collect internal taxes and faced immense hostility from regional neighbors like Ethiopia, who feared a unified Somalia, its actual domestic authority remained weak. The evolution to the TFG, 2004. When the TNG's four-year mandate expired, it laid the structural groundwork for its successor, the Transitional Federal Government, TFG, which was organized in Kenya in 2004. By maintaining its legal status at the UN throughout its time in exile, this administrative lineage allowed Somalia to preserve its legal identity as a single sovereign state until the government could finally relocate permanently to Mogadishu. 3. Yemen. How two sovereign states became one. 1990. Yemen's history is a unique example of statehood because it didn't involve breaking away or recovering from a collapse. Instead, it was the voluntary merger of two completely independent, recognized countries into a single new nation. The two Yemens. Before 1990, the region was split into two distinct nations with completely opposing political systems. 1. North Yemen, Yemen Arab Republic YA. An independent republic since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and a later 1962 revolution, heavily influenced by traditional tribal structures and Western-aligned trade. 2. South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Yemen PDRY. Gained independence from British colonial rule in 1967 and became the Arab world's only officially Marxist-Leninist, Soviet-backed communist state. The push for unity. For decades, both populations viewed the border as an artificial colonial division. However, political rivalries and border wars kept them apart. The turning point came in the late 1980s when the Soviet Union began to collapse, cutting off South Yemen's financial and military lifeline. The formal declaration, May 22, 1990. Seeing an economic and strategic necessity, the leaders of both countries, Ali Abdullah Saleh of the north and Ali Salim al-Baid of the south, signed a unification treaty. On May 22, 1990, they formally declared the birth of the Unified Republic of Yemen. The administrative blueprint. To make the new state legal under international law, they quickly merged their administrative systems. Sana'a, in the north, became the political capital, while Aden, in the south, was designated the economic capital. They pooled their newly discovered oil resources, combined their militaries, and instituted a multi-party political system that allowed dozens of new newspapers and political factions to form, creating an era of unprecedented political pluralism in the region. Key takeaways on statehood from these histories. Country. Strategy used. Main achievement. Syria. SIG. Building parallel technical ministries and issuing official civil documents. Maintained international funding pipelines and diplomatic status for over a decade. Somalia, TNG, securing UN and regional recognition at international conferences while based abroad, kept the legal sovereignty of the state alive during a period of domestic collapse. Yemen, merging two distinct internationally recognized entities via a peaceful joint declaration, successfully erased a colonial border and unified two highly divergent administrative systems.
I will play it again. Listen before we go into analysis because, like I said, we're not going to waste too much of our time today because of what we have, because of time. So listen to it again.
Looking at these three specific cases reveals a fascinating picture of how statehood, diplomatic recognition, and sovereignty play out in the real world. Each country offers a very different lesson on how governments operate when they don't have full physical control, or how two separate systems try to merge into one sovereign nation. Let's break down the histories of each, focusing on exactly how their administrative structures and declarations shape their paths. 1. Syria. The interim government in exile, 2013 to 2025. During the Syrian civil war, opposition forces realized that to gain international legitimacy and challenge the Assad regime diplomatically, they needed a formal, structured administrative body, the Foundation, 2012-2013. In November 2012, opposition groups formed an umbrella political coalition in Doha, Qatar. Realizing they needed a practical executive branch to provide services, they formally declared the Syrian Interim Government, SIG, in March 2013 during a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. The strategy of statehood, the SIG, did not just release statements, it built a technical cabinet with ministries, defense, health, education. They focused heavily on proving they could perform the functions of a state. They issued official civil documents, like birth certificates and academic diplomas, to millions of displaced Syrians, which were recognized by neighboring countries like Turkey. The transition inward. For the first few years, the SIG operated strictly in exile from Turkey because it lacked a safe physical base. However, starting in 2016, it progressively moved its headquarters into territories in northern Syria. By establishing local councils, it attempted to demonstrate effective control over specific regions, backed by administrative presence rather than just military force. The outcome: the SIG served as the primary diplomatic pipeline for Western and regional funding, including millions in direct administrative aid from the US and Europe, until the dramatic collapse of the Assad regime in Damascus. 2. Somalia. Building authority from outside, 2000 to 2004. Following the collapse of the Central Somali state in 1991, the country descended into a decade of decentralized clan warfare with no recognized government. The path back to international recognition relied heavily on creating provisional administrations on foreign soil. The Arta Conference, 2000. In 2000, neighboring Djibouti hosted the Somalia National Peace Conference in the town of Arta. Clan elders, civil society leaders and diplomats gathered to sign a transitional national charter, creating the Transitional National Government, TNG. Operating in a vacuum, the TNG was immediately granted Somalia's seat at the United Nations, the African Union, and the Arab League. On paper, it had total diplomatic recognition as a sovereign state. In reality, it was a government in exile working out of hotels, as powerful warlords and regional factions controlled the actual capital of Mogadishu. Administrative strengths and flaws. The TNG established all the formal organs of statehood, a parliament divided by clan ratios, executive ministries, and even a nascent national police force. However, because it could not collect internal taxes and faced immense hostility from regional neighbors like Ethiopia, who feared a unified Somalia, its actual domestic authority remained weak. The evolution to the TFG, 2004. When the TNG's 4-year mandate expired, it laid the structural groundwork for its successor, the Transitional Federal Government, TFG, which was organized in Kenya in 2004. By maintaining its legal status at the UN throughout its time in exile, this administrative lineage allowed Somalia to preserve its legal identity as a single sovereign state until the government could finally relocate permanently to Mogadishu. 3. Yemen. How two sovereign states became one. 1990. Yemen's history is a unique example of statehood because it didn't involve breaking away or recovering from a collapse. Instead, it was the voluntary merger of two completely independent, recognized countries into a single new nation. The two Yemens. Before 1990, the region was split into two distinct nations with completely opposing political systems. 1. North Yemen. Yemen Arab Republic YA. An independent republic since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and a later 1962 revolution, heavily influenced by traditional tribal structures and Western-aligned trade. 2. South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Yemen PDRY, gained independence from British colonial rule in 1967 and became the Arab world's only officially Marxist-Leninist, Soviet-backed communist state. The push for unity. For decades, both populations viewed the border as an artificial colonial division. However, political rivalries and border wars kept them apart. The turning point came in the late 1980s when the Soviet Union began to collapse, cutting off South Yemen's financial and military lifeline. The formal declaration, May 22, 1990. Seeing an economic and strategic necessity, the leaders of both countries, Ali Abdullah Saleh of the north and Ali Salim al-Baid of the south, signed a unification treaty. On May 22, 1990, they formally declared the birth of the Unified Republic of Yemen. The administrative blueprint. To make the new state legal under international law, they quickly merged their administrative systems. Sana'a, in the north, became the political capital, while Aden, in the south, was designated the economic capital. They pooled their newly discovered oil resources, combined their militaries, and instituted a multi-party political system that allowed dozens of new newspapers and political factions to form, creating an era of unprecedented political pluralism in the region. Key takeaways on statehood from these histories. Country. Strategy used. Main achievement. Syria. SIG. Building parallel technical ministries and issuing official civil documents. Maintained international funding pipelines and diplomatic status for over a decade. Somalia. TNG. Securing UN and regional recognition at international conferences while based abroad. Kept the legal sovereignty of the state alive during a period of domestic collapse. Yemen. Merging two distinct internationally recognized entities via a peaceful joint declaration. Successfully erased a colonial border and unified two highly divergent administrative systems.
I hope you have listened to the history of the three countries being mentioned by our president, NJOKU. In this history of these three countries, said that we have to repeat or we have to recreate the history of these three countries. As we are hearing it, what is coming to your mind? If Simon NJOKU is not coming to your mind, and Dr. Ngozi, why these two has to come into your mind? Because they obeyed and they take that order or that instruction from Mazi Kanu that we have to recreate the history of Syria and Yemen and Somalia. What is the history of Syria? You can testify with me. And I said, go to Wikipedia. Just download Wikipedia in your phone and type, what is the history of Syria to become a country? They will give it to you in Wikipedia. You know, when you are doing something that does not have an example, you go nowhere. The word history. Have you asked yourself why Nigeria is the only country in the world that remove history in school? Because history will teach you who you are. History directs you on the better path. That is why our forefathers told us in Igbo days na obu na nwoke na-akpụ ụzụ ọkpụ ụzụ amaro ka esi akpụ ogene gbara mkpi abụọ agwụ ya ka o lebe egbe anya n'ọdụ na ọfụra n'ọdụ egbe na ọ ga-amụta ka esi akpụ ogene gbara mkpi abụọ imokwu bụ ihe anwa bụ history ka akụziri gị fọwọkwa anyị ọzọ si anyị na ọ bụ na ịmaghị ebe mmiri dị na community ngị chọta ebe ọ bụ na ifuru mpekele eji n'ahịrị ngị soro mpekele eji anwa na-aga na ị ga-afụ mmiri. Maazị Nnamdi Kanu wesịrị ọbịa gwa anyị ka si anyị jee chọta history Syria, Yemen, Somalia. Na anyị lee this history, anyị repeat ihe anwa family that we have to do what they did for them to become a country. And that is how the only one way Biafra will be country. And what was the thing they did? The transition from organization into Government-in-Exile in different countries in Africa, in Asia, in Europe. Today, what the Obatobia brought to us, the same transition, forming Government-in-Exile. It's not just forming Government-in-Exile. Do you hear about the redeclared of their country? Do you hear about the declaration date? About what? The declaration date of these countries. And until that, when they finally achieve recognition, and the years it takes them before they come back to their territory. I hope you listen and you hear it with me together. Am I always who hearing it? Today, this history, Mazi Kanu say we should follow. That is only one way that Biafra should become a country. Who followed that way? Is it IPOB? Is it BGC? Is it Bryson Okoma and Shioma Okoma, the criminals? Ndiohi. Or how much crazy history? Or Bugo 247 now, Ndotuya, that has recreated this history. The history being exile must be with what? Redeclaration or declaration. Are we only the people that in this war that have fight for a new nation? We are not only. From the list of all the African countries that transition into government in exile, I want to give you just one, or so I want to give you two countries alone. All the names of African government in exile and the names of the organization before the name of the country. Their organization first. The year of organization, a country called Namibia in 1960, registered organization called SWAPO. Today, a country you know as what? Namibia. In their journey to become a country, first was what? The registration of the organization called Southwest Africa People's Organization, in abbreviation SWAPO, in 1960. From that 1960, it was when they registered it as a full organization. But the name starts rumoring, moving somehow with that registration. In April 1955, the name starts rumoring, not official name, when? April 19, 1959. 1960, they registered the name called SWAPO, Southwest Africa People's Organization. Like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu registering IPOB organization in United Kingdom, UK. Is it not true? The registration of the so-called IPOB organization is in the Biafra land. I'm asking. Is it in the Biafra land registered IPOB? Is in abroad, in exile. But is in abroad because they are not fighting to return Biafra as a country. They are fighting to become a political pressure movement. That's what they are building for. That is where they stand. Now, after they have registered it in 1960, the transition, immediately they have registered it in that December 1960. They start acting as government in exile. In 1966, SWAPO transition into government in exile in Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and Angola. They transition into government in exile in 3 countries. Tanzania. Go and ask Wikipedia. I give you an expo. We again, Angola and Zimbabwe. That is where this organization now in 1960, immediately government in exile. In 1966, the declaration first happened. As they made the declaration in 1966 by a man called Sam Njoma. as they did what? As they declared their country. As they declare it, it's like in their own eyes that recognition is wasting time. They proclaim it again that our name is Republic of Namibia in 1968. As they are holding in 1968, no single recognition from the 1960 transition to the declaration in to the official declaration in 1966 to 1968. Throughout these years, they were in exile in Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and Angola. Then they're operating as a government of the people of Republic of Namibia. Remember that under the name SWAPO is the name they use travel out. They remain with this name until they issue the declaration of their country called Namibia. Republic of what? Namibia. Their first declaration in 1966, official, no recognition from 1966. Then in 1968, they reproclaimed their country back. They repronounced the proclamation of their country back in 1966 to 1968. From the 1968, they were in exile. Their first ever recognition comes in 1973. Now, I want you to help me on the comment section calculate from 1959 to 1973, how many years of Namibian people in exile with government in exile? Calculate from me. I said from 1959 to 1973, how many years? When they got recognition in 1973, Namibia did not travel down to their territory to take over from South Africa. Namibia remained in exile. Their coming back was March 21, 1990. They came back, take over their territory, conduct election with the president of the United Nations, UN. Remember the journey from 1959, when we have never started fighting Biafran war. Then 1966, they issued declaration. 1968 is like the declaration is not bringing any yield fruit. They gather again in Angola and they do what they call proclamation of their country to the world. After that, they hold on until 1973, when Namibia achieved their first recognition. They refused to travel down because the recognition was not enough to stand and fight and chase away South Africa that occupies their territory. What happened? They decided that they will remain in exile, build school, start educating their people about why they are in exile, and when they got home, what their people is going to do. Then coming in March 21, 1990, Namibia achieved all the important world power recognition, travel down to their territory, South Africa, pack their military and whatever they have in 1990, and get out of Namibia. I said someone should help me from 1959 to 1990, how many years of Namibia in exile? Now, when you look at break it down again, from the 1973 of recognition to 1990. How many years? This is what Namibia hold in exile. When the Namibia declared their nation, after that, after the SWAPO, which is Southwest African Organization, declares Namibia as a country, groups, organizations up to 7 emerge. South Africa single-handedly sponsored 4 and leave 3. South Africa also was one trying to even tell UN to recognize those one they sponsor simply mean that Namibia can never get recognition, can never become a country if the world recognize those one South Africa sponsored. Namibia, after their declaration of a government with the name SWAPO, that Transitional Government-in-Exile, and issue declaration. After that, 7 groups emerged at the back of the declaration. Now, when you look at this, bring it down to our own case. After Awari declared, you see Bridgie, you see CRC, you see the criminal non-entity called Oteleshua, Bryce No come and Shomo come and all of them. And the Imam Maduabo, I don't know who the criminal old fool at old age he becomes a criminal. Because of the find that this is a business. They thought Biafra is a business. So when you look at these people I'm talking about, now look what happened in Namibia, having 8 groups, including SWSPO. When the world said to recognize Namibia as a country, they only recognizes SWAPO, that issue official declaration of Republic of Namibia in 1973 down to 1990. The 4 group the 8 group that's come, the 7 group that emerged. Inside this 8 group, South Africa sponsored 2 highest. One of those 2 they sponsored, they asked that one to go and redeclare Namibia again. They did. In Namibia history. They did what? They redeclared Namibia. They did their own declaration against them of that Republic of Namibia. When the world started to recognize Namibia, they did not recognize these 7. They recognized the first. They call it was first come, first serve, first collect. That they are not encouraging of groups. If they have refused to recognize the first one, that means they are encouraging more groups, and this does not suit on the criteria of the law of the United Nations to recognize a group that's first declared a nation. That is why all this shenanigans they are doing is not moving me. I am compiling all these names of Africans that are African that use organizations to achieve. I just start doing it. So it's going to be up to about 14 pages of all the names within this organization. Once I'm through, we are going to post it on different social medias. And every of it, we are going to explain why we are doing that. So for you that is supporting Bryce Nokoma, who deceived our brother, called our brother Easy Way, that Obato Obie is coming to their meeting, that she should come and listen. And yesterday in the tour to the unification of people of Belgium, IPOB in Belgium and the IPOB in Ireland, Easy Way opened it yesterday. They called him to come. He said he did not see Simon, but he never even come. That is Bryce Nokoma come, start talking. This is what they use to use the name of our prime minister to deceive people, and you fall, you contribute to your money. Shame on you that is flowing Bryce Nokoma and Shomo Okoma. They come for business. The same way South Africa sponsored 4 groups. In the same way today, the Nigerian government is sponsoring Ogenkere, Imam Maduabo, Bryce Nokoma, I don't know who the old witch criminal. Thomas of Siamaka read them. This is the history of Namibia. What happened in Namibia? I will put all these names of this organization that emerged as the creation of Namibia as a country. You will see it and ask yourself, is it not the history of the bad things is repeating and you join? That means you were a bad person. Do you also not Angola in Africa? Transitional Government-in-Exile. The name of the organization that Angola used when their land was occupied is what? They have a name they used, and also the name of their leader. All these organizations in Africa, nobody starts with the name of a country. The only person who started the name of a country is Ngozi, who because of the emergency of the 7 Biafra people's life, he declared Republic of Biafra. Every other countries use organization in the second term of their movement to have a country. Every country you see today, there was a time they are into organization. Angola did it in their own time. If you check the history of Angola, go and do your research and find out. The big place who will give you this some narrative or some sense of what I'm doing here is Wikipedia. That one is easy for you to download. Go and type on the Google Wikipedia. So download Wikipedia. Just type you that is a doubting Thomas or what I'm doing. I just want to give you one app out of 5 I am using to do the research. Out of 5 apps that is together I'm using to do the research, I want to give you only one. So go there and check. It's not in the Google. Google will just give you a little hint, not like what Wikipedia can clarify you a little bit. But unlike when in the app I am using 5 apps joined together in one app. So that is why all my messages are so different from whatever you may think. And you know that there is money to get information. It's now it happened to be every 25th, $200 to subscribe on that app every week. And never has also jiwe card no bro okwu. Enwere ihe agụ jikaba na bi n'ime ofia. So e ga-enwe nke nwere. That one I will never give it to you. That's what makes me USB Research TV, known as Real Biafra TV. When Abato be come on hold you were karisha. Until people start following him, they understand how genuine he is and things he has to give us. That is why he's the only man who made us to understand what is called Government-in-Exile. I will leave it here and come back to the program. So, what is the program we are doing? What Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said we should do for Biafra to become a nation is what PM Simon Ekpa NJOKU is doing through Dr. Ngozi Orabeze, the DPM. It's not about Gragra. It's not about I was here since 14 years. Doing what? Doing protests. Protest is the only what IPOB have on the table. And the protest is about human rights, not for a nation. Are you following? I hope we are making common sense. I hope that we are making common sense. What are we doing today? What's the president, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, asked us to do for Biafra to become a country? And who is the, I don't know those who are here, people have disappeared. Can you tell us with what we are hearing today, who is those people that are doing what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu asked us to do for Biafra to be a nation? That's only one way that Biafra should be a nation. Who is doing that today? Can you just refresh your mind and think who is doing what Mars can say that we should do for Biafra to become a nation? Which people are doing it today? I'm waiting for an answer from the comment section. Let me know if there's anybody in this house. Who is the people that are doing what Mars and Nana can say that we should do for Biafra to become a nation? What he said, I will play it in small audio. Then after that, we go into the program. But I am waiting for an answer. I want to know if you are following me, if you do understand what we are doing here this evening.
The method in our madness. We are very, very strategic in terms of our approach, not just to the disintegration of the damnable zoological republic.
Yes, thank you so much. Good USB. I want you to put it in this way. Simon EKPA, through the Ngozi, United States of Biafra. Put it for me this way.
We need to recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia, in the northern part of the Government-in-Exile zoological republic. And there is only one way we are going to achieve that.
Only one way. And who understand it? The Prime Minister, Simon NJOKU. Who again? Only the one who stood up against all odds, against she stood up against them and maintained the history. Dr. Ngozi, the DPM, the acting head of state of United States of Biafra, she is the one, and USB is the one repeating that history. How Syria, how Yemen, how Somalia become a country today. And that is the three countries our leader choose, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, their history. Do you know the history before? I never knew until now. I never even knew that Syria formed Government-in-Exile. I never knew that Somalia formed Government-in-Exile. I never knew the history of Yemen until I still researching for something about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I bust out to this place. I said, wow. So what we are doing now is what he asked us to do all these years. And IPOB was doing protests. We move. That is all they can do. The matter can say, the history of these countries, did they do protests? The answer is no. Somalia did not protest for one day. They straight away into Government-in-Exile. So let us touch light on their histories one after the other. Yes, let's play. We pause, we explain it. Please, 1 minute.
Looking at these three specific cases reveals a fascinating picture of how statehood, diplomatic recognition, and sovereignty play out in the real world. Each country offers a very different lesson on how governments operate when they don't have full physical...
Do you hear? They have different lessons, different histories. Because of what? That they do not, when it's come to the issue of controlling physical territory, that they do not control their physical territory. And Mazen can understand that we are not still controlling our physical territory. And he gives this example of these three countries that are even in exile. They said that this is what? How statehood, diplomatic recognition, and the sovereignty play out in the real world. This, what we are on it, is only how in the real world you get diplomatic recognition via Government-in-Exile and issue a peaceful, really clear of our lost country. Republic of Biafra has been lost over many years ago. This is how others achieve their country. This is how others have their country today. Now, let's continue. Each country often have a different lesson on how government operates when they do not have fully physical control, or how two separate systems try to emerge into one sovereign nation. That's when they do not have anything. That the lesson is there. That is where we are today. To use US declared the document to achieve recognition. Do you understand it? That is what it is.
Control, or how two separate systems try to merge into one sovereign nation. Let's break down the histories of each, focusing on exactly how their administrative structures and declarations shape their paths. 1. Syria, the interim government in exile, 2013 to 2025. During the Syrian civil war, opposition forces realized that to gain international legitimacy and challenge the Assad regime diplomatically, they needed a formal, structured administrative body, the Foundation, 2012-2013. In November 2012,
There is something I wanted to pick out from. That is why I paused it. During the Syria civil war operations, forces released that to gain international recognition, international legitimacy, when they were fighting, that they never got what? International recognition or the international legitimacy. They did not. I said what? They did not. And its remaining diplomatical, they needed a formal structure administrative body. They need a formal structure administrative body. They needed it. And the only way you can do that is via Government-in-Exile. Issue a redeclare, run and went to exile. Once you're in exile, then you redeclare and the world listen to you. Now, the Johnny movement. The foundation, 2012 to 2013, they laid their foundation. In November 2012, operation groups of options groups formed an umbrella political coalition in Qatar. Then, in 2012, a group, they decided that what you need to do is to form wards. Government-in-Exile, that is going to handle the politics of them to achieve recognition. Hey, one president, one former governor, a politician. If you are not a politician, you can't play a game of having Biafra as a country. The people of Syria running into Qatar, realizing that they needed a particularly executive branch to provide service, they formally declared the Syria Interim Government, CIG, in March 2013 during a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. From Qatar, the head office again is where? In Turkey. They went in Turkey. They move on from Qatar, they go to Turkey. This is how the government is operating, like with the people of Biafra, all the way from the United States of America down to Finland. That is how we operate, whether you like it or not. That is how we operate, whether you like it or not. And its evidence is at hand. Then the movement started in 2013, from 2022 to 2013, where they landed in where? They said they have a conference, like Robert Obi, called us in Finland. They have a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. So you can see that we are not the first of Government-in-Exile. And we are not the first that have issued a redeclare of a lost country. That people have done it in the past. Is it not true? People have done that in the past. And that is the people that Maazin Nan kind of say that we should look at how they did it and how they make their country to be actual recognition. What we are looking for, we have done all these primary things. We are only seeking for recognition. Remember, we are talking about Syria. And the man kind of said that the only one way Biafra will come, when we repeat the history of Syria, when we repeat the history of Somalia, then the Yemen will explain himself. This is what it's all about. This is how they become a country. That is someone that can ask us to, we have to regret or repeat what they did for us to have our own nation. Now they're in exile. We are in Turkey, Istanbul, 2013. The strategy of the statehood, the SIG, did not just release the statement. It's built technical cabinet with ministers, defense, health, education. They forced heavily on the proving they could perform the functioning of a state. They issue officials civilian documents like what USD is doing. They issue documents for you to be saved and issue the ID card to the Biafran people. Have you saved your ID card? Remember that we only need 10,000 votes, 10,000 ID card. Every case is over. Look at people of Syria. They open school, start educating their people in exile. Educating them about government in exile, educating them how we are doing this, educating them how they need ministers, educating them how they are going to achieve their country and recognition. As I've already declared, is reality that they do that they build a school to educate they start educating their people about government in exile. They build health centers, little ones. You see our people. Aragabasa ndi IPOB, Nandi BGC, Nandi PUK, Nandi CRC, Nandi CPC, and all of them. Onoga Aragabasa so nisi. Do not stop. Oh. Because what we are doing is also to get us very fast.
Opposition groups formed an umbrella political coalition in Doha, Qatar. Realizing they needed a practical executive branch to provide services, they formally declared the Syrian Interim Government, SIG, in March 2013 during a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. The strategy of statehood, the SIG, did not just release state.
They did what? They declared their country. They redeclared their country. It's not a government in exile, BRGI, or Bugi Onyohi. Okay, kill a criminal. Otu on the IPOB organization claims that you know how. Mamma, every surgery promise than cannabis. Otu no civil and the IPOB organization agent document of registration. Otu Osim no can carry agent document of bridge in Obia Young. Ogen Kere, oh no, he. Obugi in bridge. All register. Obugi in go. When Jerry is checking now. Ndị IPOB hapụrụ ni Maazị Nnamdi Kanu IPOB organization ya jenu ka unu register nke unu Chikezie Chinasa Nworu ndị ohi ndị oji na-achọ before mfoju akpa. All the same your madness is what Ogen is repeating today with Sona Akwarawa. The same madness is the same criminal gang up, the same criminal lineup is where Ogenkere belongs. That is why he stole a thing he can't. Ogenkere violate. You are just wasting your time.
It built a technical cabinet with ministries, defense, health, education. They focused heavily on proving they could perform the functions of a state.
Do you see what USP is doing? What people of Syria did, building a defense in the Biafra land, the elite squads. They also build what? Health care, like hospital in abroad. They also start doing what? educating their people about their movement and why they have to move and everything. And now that they have already declared that we have gotten it right, that we only have to go back to our country in the due time, they keep on lecturing their people with the other people's history, how they achieved their own. They focus heavily on proving they could perform. They continuously. That is why today you have USB with all the ministers proving that what you can govern yourself.
Documents, like birth certificates and academic diplomas, to millions of displaced Syrians, which were recognized by neighboring countries like Turkey. The transition inward, for the first few years.
I hope you had it clearly. The transition into Turkey because of what? The Government-in-Exile seeking recognition for them to come back and take over their territory. And who said so that we should do that? It's Mazen NJOKU said so. So, at this point, I want you to clearly understand that the only government you have, that the only government for you, that the one the world knows is who? Dr. Ngozi of the United States of Biafra. That is the only one government in exile you have. Any other one a counterfeit, any other one a scam.
Yes, the SIG operated strictly in exile from Turkey because it lacked a safe physical base. However, starting in 2016, it progressively moved its headquarters into territories in northern Syria. By establishing local councils, it attempted to demonstrate effective control over specific regions, backed by administrative presence rather than just military force. The outcome: the SIG served as the primary diplomatic pipeline for Western and regional funding, including millions in direct administrative aid from the US and Europe, until the dramatic collapse of the Assad regime in Damascus. 2. Somalia. Building authority from outside, 2000 to 2004. Following the collapse of the Central Somali state in 1991, the country descended into a decade of decentralized clan warfare with no recognized government. The path back to international recognition relied heavily on creating provisional administrations on foreign soil.
On foreign where? They are creating ministers, foreign affairs, financial ministers and everything in foreign land. Hey, you declared Biafra. You claim you have declared Biafra, but you're in exile. A 50 more tanker, 1,000 more tanker. When Syria declared, there is a more tanker in their until they got recognition. When Namibia declared, there is a more tanker for 30 years until the recognition. When Nigeria declared, there is a more tanker after 2 years until the more tanker left. It's not something new. It's only new in the eyes of those that you are deceiving. It's only new in the eyes of people like you that cannot find out the truth. This truth is in the open. You can't find it out.
Conference, 2000. In 2000, neighboring Djibouti hosted the Somalia National Peace Conference in the town of Arta.
Now, on this issue of Syria, I hope it has sounded clear to you that Simon NJOKU did what? I will play it from the small audio. I know why I'm doing this. For all the doubting okokos. That is why when I do, I play the audio. 1 minute. I will get it. So listen to this audio again before we move. Let me play with the bigger speaker. Permit me to do that so everybody can hear it loud and clear. Just hold on, let me change so we can be able to use it so it can sound heavily on the ears of NJOKU.
The method in our madness. We are very, very strategic in terms of our approach, not just to the disintegration of the damnable zoological republic, but its disembowelment. I did promise you many years ago that by the time we are done with Nigeria, the name Nigeria will no longer exist. That is where we are heading to. And for us to be able to accomplish that,
from who? From Mazen NJOKU, the only president of United States of Biafra by merit or anywhere you want it to be. For us to get Biafra as a country, we need to do what? Recreate, repeat. We have to repeat what they did in their own time.
Recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia, in the northern part of the Government-in-Exile Zoological Republic. And there is only one way we are going to achieve that.
The only one way is what Simon NJOKU, a man who says that there's nothing on the table, they say protest. It's only Simon NJOKU understand the scenario you have to create and how Biafra should be a country. From the example of Mazankano giving us the lifeline, what we can do to achieve our nation. And the Okokos refuse. They are doing protest because of they are collecting money from our people in Ireland. I want to ask them, after you are in Ireland, you have marched on St. Patrick's Day. Where have you been since then? Underground. It's underground that be place like questions. So this is how Syria get their country. This is how Namibia. This is how Angola. This is how Algeria. This is how Eritrea. This is how Ethiopia. This is how Kenya. This is how South Africa. This is how many countries in Africa alone achieve their own through protests. In a cultural or historical event of the island, Hebrew flag pota in a 1 million men march, IPOB, one family. That is what you come out to come and do. And that is how things Biafra will be. And the man told you, look at the only one way the Biafra should be a country. Repeating the history of Syria, repeating the history of Yemen, repeating the history of Somalia. They did not do protests. Even though the little protests Syria did was only just 2 years protest, they close protests, transition to talking Government-in-Exile and issue declaration. And from that, they started recognition. And today, Syria is a full country. Can't you see that? And your leader, who you claim you are following for more than 14 years, going to 2 decades, you are famous in Nandekan. You could not be able to replicate what he said. You forget about it. You only use the video, the suitors you are criminal and you are evil-minded. The same thing in the autopilot. The same thing in this have autopilot. The same thing in the BGC, property matter. The same thing in Bryce no come and show more come. That is just it. The same thing I don't know if a grandmother Nezori at this age, a greedy grandmother with lies, propaganda, deceit at age of only iligonso ebono. As on a mother of Alanko, who is Yoku, Chukwuka Biama Gejiarum, one after the other. Ask him na Chukwuka Biam Geji Arunu Metra in the name of Biafra, where Mooney on Webe, Ono got out for John, Ono get back one aga for Yamri, Ono got Nam, Ono got for Bra. Note. Because of blood in our Biafra. Because of how going on now you. The same will happen to Solomon on Kwacha. Who tells them Robindo Solomon on Kwacha, Onyohi. Ezamulobi, Onyohi. Bryce no comma, Onyohi. Shomo comma, Onyohi. I don't know who Agadiwani baby, grandma, Onyohi. All of you. Gorani 8 group, that 7 group marjorie after Namibia declared their country. Working for recognition 8 ya pota. Oga onoge back on my emily mapoto on nanya. Onoga chom recruit of Rangoa. unu ga-emepe kọpụ mmiri ọbụrụ ụmụ Biafra ọnwụrụ maka ihi unu ga-afụ ha na ime kọpụ mmiri unu ga-aghụrụ ụnụ ọbara. Ndị IPOB ọbara niile akwafuru n'ala Biafra na ọnọdụ of protest Machike Edozie ma nne ya anya ma ụmụnne Maazị Nnamdi Kanu ma ụnụ asọ na eme IPOB unu ga-emepe kọpụ buta mmiri ndebe na abụ unu ọbara ka unu kwuru nwa. So, what happened to Syria? After Syria have achieved recognition, they refused to travel down. Again, they waited until US recognized them. They now travel down, take over their territory. Let's go to Somalia.
Civil society leaders and diplomats gathered to sign a Transitional National Charter, creating the Transitional National Government, TNG. Operating in a vacuum, the TNG was immediately granted Somalia's seat at the United Nations Union and the Arab...
One thing you must pick up from here, that all of them started with organization. As a group, as an organization. From there, the transition to Government-in-Exile. From the transition, they issue declaration. From the day of declaration, they start asking for diplomatic recognition. It does not come immediately. Syria remained in exile for 13 years. Syria remained in exile for maximum 13 to 12 years before they will come back and take over their territory. That is the case we are repeating by Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Ka ihe ọzọ ịchọ ka agwa gị ka ị ga na-afụ ụzọ ọ na-edi anụ ihe ka ị gara na ọ na-edi anụ isi.
Blake. On paper, it had...
Remember that the movement of the Somalia, Maazị Kanu refers to, was 2000. And he broadcast about them 2001 because he was here when Somalia was fighting. And that is why he always said that Somalia is going to be better than Nigeria. And what happened? Because of he understands that they transition into Government-in-Exile. This is how Syria, this is how, Somalia, their journey of 2004, from 2000 to 2004. Then 2001, January 1st, Maazị Kanu said that we have to repeat this history.
Diplomatic recognition as a sovereign state.
Are you hearing it?
In reality, it was a government in exile working out of hotels.
In reality, Nafawu government in exile, working in hotels, living hotels in exile. Are you hearing it? Hey, Maazị Kanu went to Kenya. What will be in a hotel? Oh no, be in a hotel. Oh, you be begging. Go abo sabo. Oh, na Maazị Kanu be in a hotel. Only more like coach, Ben coach, big one about sabotua. Zuzugare ban, Yakojuji, where you was in the ban. When have na social media, na keen.
Powerful warlords and regional factions controlled the actual capital of Mogadishu. Administrative...
The warlord and many organizations emerged. But which one did the world organize from the people of Somalia? Listen to that.
Strengths and flaws. The TNG established all the formal organs of statehood, a parliament divided by clan ratios, executive ministries, and even a nascent national police force. However, because it could not collect internal taxes and faced immense hostility from regional neighbors like Ethiopia, who feared a unified Somalia, its actual domestic authority remained weak. The evolution to the TFG, 2004. When the TNG's four-year mandate expired, it laid the structural groundwork for its successor, the Transitional Federal Government, TFG, which was organized in Kenya in 2004. By maintaining its legal status at the UN throughout its time in exile, this administrative lineage allowed Somalia to preserve its legal identity as a single sovereign state until the government could finally relocate permanently to Mogadishu. 3. Yemen. How two sovereign states became...
On this history of Somalia, the transition to Kenya, to Ethiopia, from there, the issue to declare their country that they have lost the hands of the warlord and the oppressors. What happens then? They, from in exile, start asking for recognition. From in exile. The world in the beginning said that because of they lost total control of they lost total control of the total physical control of their country or the territory. They lost total control. Is these people that lost total control, is the people that Mazen Namdi can ask us to look at to recreate their history? Today, what is the history of Somalia? You can answer by yourself. What is the history of Syria? They all transition government in exile and issue declaration, and you use that declaration document to work for what recognition. Is not where we are right now. I'm asking you. It's not what we are doing today. Life is a teacher. Life is good. When you are on the right track in all you do, you will be happy doing it.
Game 1, 1990.
Now, this particular Somalia, you had the name of the organization first. The first one was DNG. Second one was SIG. So, everything that we are doing today, we are repeating the history. We are not creating new history, whether I like it or not. And all this history will not cease and disappear. Please, in case you want to join us, you will see the link on the down there, because, like I said, we're going to run up small time. If as we're analyzing about Yemen right now, the Yemen is about people in the north, not really about us. But that is what will happen in the north. Once we exit, is what happened in Yemen. So please, if you want to join me, you can join me right now.
History is a unique example of statehood because it didn't involve breaking away or recovering from a collapse. Instead, it was the voluntary merger of two completely independent, recognized countries into a single new nation. The two Yemens. Before 1990, the region was split into...
They can merge together. If you don't like, they can separate. That is, Mazakan is giving you an obtainable options. And the best option is for the people of Benue, lower people of Benue, and all these people who have imagined as Christian countries in the north. All of you should form your own country. Simple as an ABCD. We're not going to die because of you. We're not going to suffer because of you anymore. The time is over.
Two distinct nations with completely opposing political systems. 1. North Yemen, Yemen Arab Republic YAR. An independent republic since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and a later 1962 revolution, heavily influenced by traditional tribal structures and Western-aligned trade. 2. South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Yemen PDRY. Gained independence from British colonial rule in 1967 and became the Arab world's only officially Marxist-Leninist, Soviet-backed communist state. The push for unity. For decades, both populations viewed the border as an artificial colonial division. However, political rivalries and border wars kept them apart. The turning point came in the late 1980s when the Soviet Union began to collapse, cutting off South Yemen's financial and military lifeline. The formal declaration, May 22, 1990. Seeing an economic and strategic necessity, the leaders of both countries, Ali Abdullah Saleh of the north and Ali Salim al-Baid of the south, signed a unification treaty. On May 22, 1990, they formally declared the birth of the Unified Republic of Yemen, the administrative blueprint. To make the new state legal under international law, they quickly merged their administrative systems. Sana'a, in the north, became the political capital, while Aden, in the south, was designated the economic capital. They pooled their newly discovered oil resources, combined their militaries, and instituted a multi-party political system that allowed dozens of new newspapers and political factions to form, creating an era of unprecedented political pluralism in the region. Key takeaways on statehood from these histories. Country. Strategy used. Main achievement. Syria. SIG. Building parallel technical ministries and issuing official civil documents. Maintained international funding pipelines and diplomatic status for over a decade. Somalia, TNG, securing UN and regional recognition at international conferences while based abroad, kept the legal sovereignty of the state alive during a period of domestic collapse. Yemen, merging two distinct internationally recognized entities via a peaceful joint declaration, successfully erased the colonial border and unified two highly divergent administrative systems.
And that's one that's happened for the first time, is the one Everywhere in the world they have recognized, they never change from it. You have had the history, and you can see with evidence in front of you that is only USB declared is the one doing the appropriate thing that Mazdan can ask us to do for us to have our own countries called United States of Biafra. That is only way you can have it. Honestly, the time that we are into is the time to tell the truth. The time to say the bitter truth the way it is. No romancing, no painting of words. Give it out the way it is so it can land. And those who will pick with those who not pick will not pick. Because in this world, I have come to conclusion of one thing, that nothing will stop the truth. That the truth will always come at last. And once the truth appears, had I no follow up. I am here telling you, warning you to run out of Hadaino, because it's only US declared is the only option you have. There is no other option. There is no other government anyway. All these things are being sponsored by Nigeria, this organization. You had it here that people of Somalia, people of Syria gather in different exile government and issue a declaration. The world will always only organize the Government-in-Exile that issue a peaceful declaration. And what is declaration? That person who announced it that from today that our name is what? United States of Biafra. That person who lowered, who give the flag of the old oppressor raised down and they put up the new country's flag. Who does that? Is Dr. Ngozi. That is the one the world would organize from the old to the present new. Of look at Syria of 2024 of years. In 2024, we are issuing declaration that Syria is wrapping everything up. And Namibia, Somalia is here wrapping everything up. Look at where we are today. The history of Namibia and Algeria and what happened in Poland is happening. After the declaration, the enemies will come. And I want you to know, we will not achieve Biafra without having enemy. There is no how, there is no way we can be unified before we achieve Biafra. No. But we gotta do what we have to do as a human being for God to see that we have done it. That is what our DPM is doing. That is why he lowered himself down to call IPOB in Ireland, in Belgium, for them to come. Let us come and ask questions, let us talk. You come or you not come, the message has been passed in Ireland. My people. If you want to join me, I say you are free to join in the next few minutes. You are winding down because I have something to go, I have somewhere to go. You know how we do it here. I will only play those videos, those audios, and be putting some small things on it for us to move. So let us see. If you want to join, you are free to join us.
Looking at these three specific cases reveals a fascinating picture of how statehood, diplomatic recognition, and sovereignty play out in the real world. Each country offers a very different lesson on how governments operate when they don't have full physical control, or how two separate systems try to merge into one sovereign nation. Let's break down the histories of each, focusing on exactly how their administrative structures and declarations shape their paths. 1. Syria. The interim government in exile, 2013 to 2025. During the Syrian civil war, opposition forces realized that to gain international legitimacy and challenge the Assad regime diplomatically, they needed a formal, structured administrative body, the Foundation, 2012-2013. In November 2012, opposition groups formed an umbrella political coalition in Doha, Qatar. Realizing they needed a practical executive branch to provide services, they formally declared the Syrian Interim Government, SIG, in March 2013 during a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. The strategy of statehood, the SIG, did not just release statements, it built a technical cabinet with ministries, defense, health, education. They focused heavily on proving they could perform the functions of a state. They issued official civil documents, like birth certificates and academic diplomas, to millions of displaced Syrians, which were recognized by neighboring countries like Turkey. The transition inward, For the first few years, the SIG operated strictly in exile from Turkey because it lacked a safe physical base. However, starting in 2016, it progressively moved its headquarters into territories in northern Syria. By establishing local councils, it attempted to demonstrate effective control over specific regions, backed by administrative presence rather than just military force. The outcome: the SIG served as the primary diplomatic pipeline for Western and regional funding, including millions in direct administrative aid from the US and Europe, until the dramatic collapse of the Assad regime in Damascus. 2. Somalia. Building authority from outside, 2000 to 2004. Following the collapse of the Central Somali state in 1991, the country descended into a decade of decentralized clan warfare with no recognized government. The path back to international recognition relied heavily on creating provisional administrations on foreign soil. The Arta Conference, 2000. In 2000, neighboring Djibouti hosted the Somalia National Peace Conference in the town of Arta. Clan elders, civil society leaders, and diplomats gathered to sign a transitional national charter, creating the Transitional National Government, TNG. Operating in a vacuum, the TNG was immediately granted Somalia's seat at the United Nations, the African Union, and the Arab League. On paper, it had total diplomatic recognition as a...
There is something that I forgot to mention here. They first got to do what? To sign charter. Did we gather in Finland to sign charter before our declaration? The answer is yes. You see how Simon repeated all these histories of all these different countries. I'm not going to mention these 3 countries. 2, they gathered to sign charter before anything happens. Did we not sign charter? The charter Ogenkere is currently parading himself. Is it Ogenkere charter? The answer is no. Is the Prime Minister Simon Ekpa that introduced to us that we signed in Finland before the Biafran constitution. Obatobe refused to issue bylaw because bylaw was meant for organization, not for a country. Get it clearly from here.
Sovereign state. In reality, it was a government in exile working out of hotels, as powerful warlords and regional factions controlled the actual capital of Mogadishu. Administrative strengths and flaws. The TNG established all the formal organs of statehood, a parliament divided by clan ratios, executive ministries, and even a nascent national police force. However, because it could not collect internal taxes and faced immense hostility from regional neighbors like Ethiopia, who feared a unified Somalia, its actual domestic authority remained weak. The evolution to the TFG, 2004. When the TNG's 4-year mandate expired, it laid the structural groundwork for its successor, the Transitional Federal Government, TFG, which was organized in Kenya in 2004. By maintaining its legal status at the UN throughout its time in exile, this administrative lineage allowed Somalia to preserve its legal identity as a single sovereign state until the government could finally relocate permanently to Mogadishu. 3. Yemen. How 2 sovereign states became one. 1990. Yemen's history is a unique example of statehood because it didn't involve breaking away or recovering from a collapse. Instead, it was the voluntary merger of 2 completely independent, recognized countries into a single new nation. The 2 Yemens. Before 1990, the region was split into 2 distinct nations with completely opposing political systems. 1. North Yemen, Yemen Arab Republic (YA), an independent republic since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and a later 1962 revolution, heavily influenced by traditional tribal structures and Western-aligned trade. 2. South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Yemen (PDRY), gained independence from British colonial rule in 1967 and became the Arab world's only officially Marxist-Leninist, Soviet-backed communist state. The push for unity. For decades, both populations viewed the border as an artificial colonial division. However, political rivalries and border wars kept them apart. The turning point came in the late 1980s when the Soviet Union began to collapse, cutting off South Yemen's financial and military lifeline. The formal declaration, May 22, 1990. Seeing an economic and strategic necessity, the leaders of both countries, Ali Abdullah Saleh of the north and Ali Salim al-Baid of the south, signed a unification treaty. On May 22, 1990, they formally declared the birth of the Unified Republic of Yemen. The administrative blueprint. To make the new state legal under international law, they quickly merged their administrative systems. Sana'a, in the north, became the political capital, while Aden, in the south, was designated the economic capital. They pooled their newly discovered oil resources, combined their militaries, and instituted a multi-party political system that allowed dozens of new newspapers and political factions to form. creating an era of unprecedented political pluralism in the region. Key takeaways on statehood from these histories. Country. Strategy used. Main achievement. Syria. SIG. Building parallel technical ministries and issuing official civil documents. Maintained international funding pipelines and diplomatic status for over a decade. Somalia. TNG. Securing UN and regional recognition at international conferences while based abroad. Kept the legal sovereignty of the state alive during a period of domestic collapse. Yemen, merging two distinct internationally recognized entities via a peaceful joint declaration, successfully erased a colonial border and unified two highly divergent administrative systems.
The method in our madness. We are very, very strategic in terms of our approach, not just to the disintegration of the damnable zoological republic, but its disembowelment. Years ago, that by the time we are done with Nigeria, the name Nigeria will no longer exist. That is where we are heading to. And for us to be able to accomplish that, we need to recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia, in the northern part of the damnable zoological republic. And there is only one way we are going to achieve that.
This scenario has been recreated by Simon NJOKU in this Government-in-Exile, and our DPs are accomplished by what? By peacefully declared of our lost country. In the continuation of the old Republic of Biafra into the continuation of the continuity of the new modern one, United States of Biafra as your own country. That is the only hope for a black man. That is the only Government-in-Exile you have. Everything that comes across, they call it what? Small organization. They always use the example of Namibia or Algeria. How this small organization comes when the real government issue a declaration. There is nothing to panic about. We are on the right track. And we are doing what the world wants us to do. What we have failed to do for over a decade is what we come back. We have achieved it through our Prime Minister, Simon NJOKU. That is the man who made it possible for us to come back on the track. Because of what? If he did not introduce our DPM, it would have been a different ball game. But he understands what we need to do and how we have to accomplish it based on what he believed with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And Simon NJOKU comes out and introduces it to us. Our DPM has accomplished it. We have recreated the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of who? Somalia. Through USB redeclared. That is only how we have done that. There is no other way we could have. And because of a man, West Sabi, we follow who know road. Simon NJOKU know the rules. Then we found out that the road, I'm not here to control the road. He said, Ngozi protect the mandate. And today, the mandate has been protected with all costs. And she stayed the course. As our DPM stayed the course, you stay the course. Forget all these groups. They do nothing. We only come here with evidence and debunk all their lies for them to see how Chioma Okoma, Bryson Okoma, all people are criminals. Do you also know that when this woman was in the pulpit, calling people to come and give speech, that she was not happy? You see? The woman was not happy. Even the husband was the one that our DPM will bring sin into US Government-in-Exile. Our DPM is the one who bring these evil people into the government of USB. But look at them today. They have found out two IPOB's organization, and the IPOB will call them to lose them to one Nigeria. Once they give them money, they will start turning against the truth. I know that many of you want to die and bury in exile. That is why you are doing the rubbish you are doing. That is why all these people never believe Biafra should be a country. They thought, with this Biafra, I will be a popular person. That is why they came. But the message is chasing them away. Like I said, until you recognize this, until you allow the message to use you, you can't use the message. Like, if you don't use the message will leave you to choose who will deliver me. Everything at this stage is what I am trying to let you to understand, that there is no any other government in exile you have except USB declared. That is the only government in exile you have. Now, listen as we are going to summarize this evening program. Because of what? Because a lot of things is in between. So listen to this a little bit something and get something from there. You will hear the names of organization, you will hear the transition, you will see how everything happened. Listen to this in summary.
Historically in Africa, the legal pathway of an organization establishing a formal government in exile, GIE, issuing a peaceful declaration or redeclaration, and translating that directly into international recognition is extremely rare. In African geopolitics, most recognized transitions from exile to sovereign statehood historically required either prolonged liberation struggles, like SWAPO in Namibia, or managed diplomatic handovers via colonial powers. However, there are highly specific African historical precedents where organizations deliberately chose the formal GIE framework and peaceful, legal declarations to force international bodies to grant them recognition. 1. The Sahrawi Democratic Arab Republic, SADR Dwa Polisario Front. The most enduring and formally structured example of an African organization creating a state mechanism from exile, issuing a peaceful declaration, and achieving major multilateral recognition is the Sahrawi Democratic Arab Republic, SADR. 1975. Spanish withdrawal and Moroccan entry. 1976. Formal declaration of Sadr. Exile administration in Algeria. Official recognition by the African Union. The context. Following Spain's withdrawal from the Western Sahara in 1975, the territory was occupied by Morocco. The peaceful declaration. On February 27, 1976, the Polisario Front officially issued a proclamation declaring the birth of the Sahrawi Democratic Arab Republic, SADR, as a sovereign state. The GIE and operational transition. Because Moroccan forces held the major urban areas, the SADR established its administrative capital, civil ministries, registries, and schools in exile, specifically within the refugee camps of the Tindouf province in neighboring Algeria. It functioned, and continues to function, as a highly organized administration in exile. Achieving international recognition, the SADR used its organized civil structures and diplomatic advocacy to achieve an extraordinary milestone in African diplomacy. In 1982, the Organization of African Unity, OAU, formally admitted the SADR as a sovereign member state. Today, the modern African Union, AU, fully recognizes the SADR as a founding member state, demonstrating how an exiled administration achieved continental recognition. 2. GPRA. Gouvernement Provisoire de la République Algérienne, Algeria. Algeria provides the foundational modern African blueprint of a movement explicitly launching a provisional government abroad to capture international legitimacy before controlling national territory. The transition into GIE. In September 1958, during the struggle against French rule, the National Liberation Front, FLN, established the Gouvernement Provisoire de la République Algérienne, GPRA. It operated directly out of Cairo, Egypt, and Tunis. Tunisia. The strategy of peaceful proclamation. The GPRA positioned itself not merely as an armed militia, but as the legal, diplomatic voice of the Algerian nation. It issued formal declarations of statehood, established diplomatic protocols, and sent envoys worldwide. Achieving recognition. The GIE achieved rapid success, securing immediate official recognition from countries across Africa and Asia, including Ghana, Morocco, and Indonesia. This international standing effectively forced the French government to bypass domestic military factions and enter into formal, peaceful bilateral negotiations, the Evian Accords of 1962, resulting in a peaceful national referendum and full global sovereignty. 3.
They started
GRAE,
with organization.
Revolutionary Government of Angola
They
in Exile,
transitioned
the
to
Strategic
government in
Exile.
They
In April
issued
1962, Holden
and the
Roberto
only government
unified
were
anti-colonial
organized
factions
here
to
in
establish the
Africa
Government
is the only
Revolutionnaire de
those who are
Angola
with
on
the
Exile,
document of
GRAE,
declaration.
based in
That is
Kinshasa.
why you
The
must
proclamation,
abandon all these
GRAE,
organizations and all
issued
these
an official
small
declaration
groups
asserting
noise.
itself as the lone legal administrative authority for Angola, utilizing peaceful diplomatic lobbying to sideline competitors, achieving
Both
recognition.
Angola.
In 1963, the OAU formally recognized GRAE as the sole legitimate representative of the Angolan people. This decision shifted global funding and diplomatic channels exclusively to the exiled government, cementing the precedent that an African GIE could command continental recognition through organized legal diplomacy. The modern parallel, the evolution of African self-determination. In modern geopolitical discourse, contemporary self-determination movements, including groups operating under the banner of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile, BRGIE, and related administrative frameworks, explicitly look to these exact historical templates. Modern movements emphasize a strategy of avoiding armed conflict, focusing instead on establishing digital
among the people that use organization. That is why you had it here. The world has put us that we are among also the people in this modern day that use them of organization called BGRE to issue what? To issue declaration of United of Biafra. That now they say that we are looking for recognition, but we are among those that use organization. Now, if the world can put that we use organization to declare Biafra, we don't even mention IPOB. No IPOB, no MASOB. That is why in the World Index Analysis / the all the apps I use to find out the truth, IPOB among the 75 exile governments in the world, among the 20 that have issued declaration and redeclared, the 20 in general, IPOB was not found anywhere among 75. Now, when it comes to among the 20 out of that 75, the only name there is United of Biafra, that was used the organization called Bridge, Biafra Government-in-Exile, to issue a redeclaration in the same continuation of the old Republic, Biafra Republic, into the modern new one, United States of Biafra. This is how the world has put in us. This is it. There is no BGC. There is no CRC. There is no Imam Maduabu. There is no Bryce Nokoma. There is no Shomo Okoma. Their name is not there. The only name they said that declared the modern day peacefully declared with organization name that have transitional government of a country is one and only Dr. Ngozi Arabeze. Is the name there? Our people have problem. There's one of Maznakan broker. Our people are too lazy. We don't learn at all. We don't move. And I kill everywhere, social media. That is what Bryce Nokoma, Shomo Okoma, that's what they are doing. But the intellectuals in the midst of the Biafran movement, I have also played for you here how many organizations that the leader was arrested, that the leader could not stand to redeclare or to do declaration. He take away. The people he left outside declares it, turn the organization into a country by transitioning into declaration, and they start acting as a country, seek for recognition and achieve it. I mentioned names for you. Do you also know that Namibia, the first leader was arrested? You know, so Algeria, that their first leader was arrested. That is why a woman declares Algeria as a country. I have also given you out here how many names, about 10 of them. I just decided to bring 10 out of how many of them that a woman declares their nation. That because of a woman declares it, when men could not. And they have also played to you the constitution, the law of the Gen Z law that puts our DPM, that nobody should arrest her. That the world always value women and they treat them nice when it comes to politics of recognition of a country. That all these countries women declare, all of them are got recognition quickly. And the world said it's easy to arrest a man in the battlefield, but it is very hard to touch a woman, even to abuse her. What else do you want? The only first time that we have gotten it right. The only first time that we have gotten it right. Through what? Our peaceful declaration. The good news is not by going to the Government-in-Exile. The only time we got it right is what? Because of this, our document of the peacefully declared of United States of Biafra that was happened on November the 29th, 2024. Since over all these years, only protest under Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is 14 years of protest of IPOB. The only thing IPOB have on table is what? Protest. 1 million march, we move. Can that 1 million march give Biafra as a country? The answer is hell no. Algeria created awareness only 4 years. Namibia created awareness only 3 and 10 months. Syria created awareness only 2 years. The longest in Africa is Sierra Leone, 6 years. SADR only protest for what? 2 years. It's only IPOB protesting for 1 decade and without doing anything. My people, we are going to leave it here because of my time and something I need to do. So please, we'll come back again tomorrow. Watch out. We will come with all the names of organizations that transition to Government-in-Exile, and those that because of the issue a redeclare, or those that declare their country, that through that they achieve recognition, and today they are all country. The Professor of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, on the program he did January 1st, 2021, before he was kidnapped June 2021, he said that the only one way we can achieve Biafra as a country is by what? By repeating the history of Syria, Somalia, Yemen. These countries is what Simon NJOKU introduced to us on the table through our DPM accomplish this mission. Whether I like it or not, if you don't like how transformer. All the blood of Biafrans who died in the name of protest is in the hand of all IPOB organization members. But if you're indigenous people, we are fighting for Biafra. But if not for that, sorry is your name. I owe you no apology. Amadi Hamabuogen as IPOB organization. Thank you, Biafrans. Let us go and check our comment section more. We have new people that joined us lately. I think so. Yes, from Divine. Thank you so much. Emmanuel, I see you. Thank you so much. I see Naya. Thank you so much. I see Ushe. Thank you. Ekwem, my man. Thank you. Chukwudozie. Thank you. Oh, Odogwenugu not here. Odogwenugu Mpa. Good evening from here. Shinwe. Mike. Thank you. Good evening from here. Joseph. Joshua. Onwa. Good evening from here. Gabriel, my man. Maz. Good evening from here. Ushenna. Good from Honam. Good evening from here. Mommy Stella Azoka. Good evening from here. And Bishop Onaga. Tina. Good evening from here. And Philip Forge. Good evening from here. Thank you, Biafrans. But I will not leave you without repeating the voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and without playing the history of these countries back. Please record these areas. I want you to be helping me. Record it and send it out. Let them hear it. Record it and send it out. Let them hear it. So let us go to the voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. After the voice, we go to the world, to the histories of all these countries. I will just play it and leave it there. I have done my justice on it this night. I have debunked Elias, debunked Ogen Kele, and all the criminals, both Bryce Nokoma, Shiomo Okoma, both the criminal nke si na afia bụ na WhatsApp group Biafra is my home, the criminal, and Solomon Nkwocha.
Is a method in our madness. We are very, very strategic in terms of our approach, not just to the disintegration of the damnable zoological republic, but its disembowelment. I did promise you many years ago that by the time we are done with Nigeria, the name Nigeria will no longer exist.
Please like and
share. That is where we are heading.
If you never like the program.
And for us to be able to accomplish that, we need to recreate the scenario of Yemen, the scenario of Syria, the scenario of Somalia, in the northern part of the damnable zoological republic. And there is only one way we are going to achieve that.
One minute for us to close.
Looking at these three specific cases reveals a fascinating picture of how statehood, diplomatic recognition, and sovereignty play out in the real world. Each country offers a very different lesson on how governments operate when they don't have full physical control, or how two separate systems try to merge into one sovereign nation. Let's break down the histories of each, focusing on exactly how their administrative structures and declarations shape their paths. 1. Syria. The interim government in exile, 2013 to 2025. During the Syrian civil war, opposition forces realized that to gain international legitimacy and challenge the Assad regime diplomatically, they needed a formal, structured administrative body, the Foundation, 2012-2013. In November 2012, opposition groups formed an umbrella political coalition in Doha, Qatar. Realizing they needed a practical executive branch to provide services, they formally declared the Syrian Interim Government, SIG, in March 2013 during a conference in Istanbul, Turkey. The strategy of statehood, the SIG, did not just release statements, it built a technical cabinet with ministries, defense, health, education. They focused heavily on proving they could perform the functions of a state. They issued official civil documents, like birth certificates and academic diplomas, to millions of displaced Syrians, which were recognized by neighboring countries like Turkey. The transition inward. For the first few years, the SIG operated strictly in exile from Turkey because it lacked a safe physical base. However, starting in 2016, it progressively moved its headquarters into territories in northern Syria. By establishing local councils, it attempted to demonstrate effective control over specific regions, backed by administrative presence rather than just military force. The outcome: the SIG served as the primary diplomatic pipeline for Western and regional funding, including millions in direct administrative aid from the US and Europe, until the dramatic collapse of the Assad regime in Damascus. 2. Somalia. Building authority from outside, 2000 to 2004. Following the collapse of the Central Somali state in 1991, the country descended into a decade of decentralized clan warfare with no recognized government. The path back to international recognition relied heavily on creating provisional administrations on foreign soil. The Arta Conference, 2000. In 2000, neighboring Djibouti hosted the Somalia National Peace Conference in the town of Arta. Clan elders, civil society leaders, and diplomats gathered to sign a transitional national charter, creating the Transitional National Government, TNG. Operating in a vacuum, the TNG was immediately granted Somalia's seat at the United Nations, the African Union, and the Arab League. On paper, it had total diplomatic recognition as a sovereign state. In reality, it was a government in exile working out of hotels, as powerful warlords and regional factions controlled the actual capital of Mogadishu. Administrative strengths and flaws. The TNG established all the formal organs of statehood, a parliament divided by clan ratios, executive ministries, and even a nascent national police force. However, because it could not collect internal taxes and faced immense hostility from regional neighbors like Ethiopia, who feared a unified Somalia, its actual domestic authority remained weak. The evolution to the TFG, 2004. When the TNG's 4-year mandate expired, it laid the structural groundwork for its successor, the Transitional Federal Government, TFG, which was organized in Kenya in 2004. By maintaining its legal status at the UN throughout its time in exile, this administrative lineage allowed Somalia to preserve its legal identity as a single sovereign state until the government could finally relocate permanently to Mogadishu. 3. Yemen. How two sovereign states became one, 1990. Yemen's history is a unique example of statehood because it didn't involve breaking away or recovering from a collapse. Instead, it was the voluntary merger of two completely independent, recognized countries into a single new nation. The two Yemens. Before 1990, the region was split into two distinct nations with completely opposing political systems. 1. North Yemen, Yemen Arab Republic YA, an independent republic since the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and a later 1962 revolution, heavily influenced by traditional tribal structures and Western-aligned trade. 2. South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Yemen PDRY, gained independence from British colonial rule in 1967 and became the Arab world's only officially Marxist-Leninist, Soviet-backed communist state. The push for unity. For decades, both populations viewed the border as an artificial colonial division. However, political rivalries and border wars kept them apart. The turning point came in the late 1980s when the Soviet Union began to collapse, cutting off South Yemen's financial and military lifeline. The formal declaration, May 22, 1990. Seeing an economic and strategic necessity, the leaders of both countries, Ali Abdullah Saleh of the north and Ali Salim al-Baid of the south, signed a unification treaty. On May 22, 1990, they formally declared the birth of the Unified Republic of Yemen. The administrative blueprint. To make the new state legal under international law, they quickly merged their administrative systems. Sana'a, in the north, became the political capital, while Aden, in the south, was designated the economic capital. They pooled their newly discovered oil resources, combined their militaries, and instituted a multi-party political system that allowed dozens of new newspapers and political factions to form, creating an era of unprecedented political pluralism in the region. Key takeaways on statehood from these histories. Country. Strategy used. Main achievement. Syria. SIG. Building parallel technical ministries and issuing official civil documents. Maintained international funding pipelines and diplomatic status for over a decade. Somalia. TNG. Securing UN and regional recognition at international conferences while based abroad. Kept the legal sovereignty of the state alive during a period of domestic collapse. Yemen, merging two distinct internationally recognized entities via a peaceful joint declaration, successfully erased a colonial border and unified two highly divergent administrative systems.
I hope you have heard the voice of Masina Dekano and what it asks us to do. Our DPM has achieved it for us. What we needed to do is to support this government. What we need to do is not this $20, $10 you are going to fundraise. Or $12 only. The government needed money to do all we needed, all they need to do for us to go home. You bringing $20, $10, $5, all these things is not is support the government, fund your government. You have the money, you will not regret it. Any money you contribute in this movement, the time will come after we have achieved Biafra, the money will return back to you. What you are doing now is that you are sowing a seed, or you are paying it, you are saving money, you don't even know. Don't think that, hey, I have contributed all this while. No, continuously doing that for us to go home. Man, the Biafran elite sport is ready to take over in whatever in the appropriate way. What is holding them? Are they a one catch even at all? Only if that they got silver will be them the honor of man. So become support USB. You can go home quickly. There is not a government in exile. Another thing you are seeing is those being sponsored by Nigeria to come and attack the movement. And when you are supporting, you are on defense, you are doing IPOB. Nothing like that. It does not exist in the international law. What's all your protests is just noise making. I call on you to stop protests. Now become a citizen of a country. Stop being a member of organization that there is no law to back you up. But when your USB are declared, there is a legal law that backs the government in exile up. That is why we are calling on you. Repent from today. Stop your madness and stop deceiving yourself. Nobody is deceiving you. A fool at 20 will be a fool at 40. A fool at 40 will be a fool at 60. A fool at 60 will be a fool at 80. That's what happened to I don't know who today. That is why you see her messing up. Do you understand it? That's why I'm calling on you. This only USB declared is the only option you have. If you are not supporting USB declared, you are doing yourself more harm than good. And that is why I'm calling on you to stop doing yourself more harm than good. Support USB Redeclare. Support your country. Come into your city, so your country to be a citizen. My people, we are living it here. Like I said, until we come back again tomorrow. Our program of tomorrow might be another different thing about the names of all the government in exile and the names of organizations that transition into government in exile, either that they issue redeclared or they issue declaration. I am bringing all these things to counter all the lies with evidence of where it has happened. That's all I'm doing. So please, bear with me as we're going to end it here until you come back again. Thank you so much. I also want to appreciate those who supported me for us to get our app back after the locking because of the financial issue. I thank you for supporting me to return you can see that the app is back fully. The app is working. So thank you so much for doing that. All we do is to sacrifice for this our country. Like I said, this information I'm dishing out is all about money. So and I have started giving you, I give you one part of the app that they join. My own is up to 5 in one place. I just told you go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia is the one who give you some answers. What is the answer? Ask about government in exile. They will give it to you. Be support one to make sure charge the app. You can do that via the paper I put on the screen. You can copy the PayPal because as this month is coming, 25th, we are going to pay $200 for us to see using this app. So if you know what we are doing, you can support us through that. Please. That is how it is. Our page is not monetized also. The StreamYard, we are paying for it. This is what I'm doing. This is all I'm doing for. I want Biafra as a country. And I'm also doing a thanking those that are supporting our brother, Mazi Livinity. I thank you so much for always paying for the StreamYard. Thank you so much for all you do. May Elohim continue to bless you, protect you, and fill your pockets with all the good things you have been doing. May Elohim provide for you. May you never run dry. I'm talking about Mars Divinity. He has single-handedly, he's the one paying for this StreamYard that we're using to do this broadcast. But this page is not yet monetized because of the country refused me to monetize. I've done everything possible, they refuse. So if you want to support, we are doing two things on this page. We pay for the app, $200. We pay for monetization of the StreamYard, also $100. We also pay for the one we use to cut the videos that will start coming out. We want to make that we give you all we can for this message to go. So, Master Divinity, thank you so much for all you do. Biafrans, thank Master Divinity. He's also the reason why our StreamYard is still working till today. Somebody like Olushima God, I thank you for all you do. Fam Diana, I thank you for supporting the page, for us who are not doing our research. Thank you so much. Thank you, you all. May Elohim continue to protect all of us. Bless you all. Those in the comment section, the data you are putting to wash, you will never run dry. You will not regret it, because you can be assured that through all these names of countries that have been going to exile and the issue declared, today they are all countries. That is where we are. Our own case, it was when you will know, Mazen cannot open mouth and said that we should look at the history of some countries. We mentioned trees. That is the only one way Biafra to become a country. Please. He never didn't say that it's through military. First, he said we should check their history. When we check their history since over how many days now we on it, you can see that the issue of those ones is what? Via government in exile. That is how they become a country. Thank you for being here once again. I leave it here until you come back again. Thank you all. Thank you all. NJOKU, thank you. Thank you so much. I am a proud United States of Biafra. I am a proud citizen of United States of Biafra. That is my country. That is my nation. That is my identity. I am not denying the fact. Hashtag Nigeria must go out of Biafra land. Biafra is a full nation. whether the enemy likes it or not. What must be, must be. Destiny can be delayed, but it can never be denied.